That night, the air was cold. The wind moved through the trees, and the moon hid behind the clouds. Lily stood near her window, holding the note in her hand. Her heart beat fast. "Meet me tonight. Come alone." The message was still fresh in her mind. She looked at the clock. It was almost midnight. She put on her jacket, grabbed a small flashlight, and quietly stepped outside. Her father was already asleep. The street was dark. Not a single car moved. With slow steps, she walked toward Mrs. Alder's house. The porch light was off. The house looked empty. But Lily wasn't going to leave. She had to know the truth. She walked to the door and knocked twice. Softly. Nothing. She was about to turn back when she heard a voice. "Back garden. Hurry." It was Mrs. Alder's voice, low and sharp. Lily walked quickly around the house and found a small wooden gate. It opened with a soft creak. There, under a tree, stood Mrs. Alder, wrapped in a long coat and holding a small lantern. "You came," the old lady said. Lily nodded. "You asked me to." Mrs. Alder looked around to make sure no one was watching. Then she led Lily into the garden and opened a small door near the ground. It looked like a basement entrance. "Go inside," she whispered. Lily followed, heart pounding. Inside, it was dark and smelled like old books and dust. But it wasn't just an ordinary basement. There were boxes, maps, and black and white photos pinned on a wall. A large table held newspaper clippings, files, and some very old things. "This," Lily whispered, "this doesn't look like a normal house." Mrs. Alder sat on a wooden chair and took a deep breath. "I didn't plan to tell anyone," she began. "But your gift, that box, brought back something I thought I had buried forever." Lily stayed quiet, listening. "That wooden box wasn't just a box," Mrs. Alder continued. "It belonged to a group I had once worked for, a secret group. Years ago, we helped track people who disappeared in war zones. Your mother was one of us." Lily's eyes widened. "My mom?" "Yes, she was smart, brave, and kind. Just like you," Mrs. Alder said, smiling softly. "She saved my life once. During a dangerous mission. I owe her everything." Lily felt a mix of pride and shock. She never knew this about her mother. "But what was in the box?" she asked. Mrs. Alder opened a drawer and pulled out a small photo. Inside the box, she said, was a hidden paper, a list of names. "It looks simple, but that list is dangerous. Those names belong to people who did very bad things in the past. People who don't want to be found." Lily remembered the police taking the box. "Are they looking for it too?" Mrs. Alder nodded slowly. "They're not real police. They work for one of the men on the list. When you gave me that box, they must have been watching." Lily's throat felt dry. "Am I in danger?" The old woman looked her straight in the eyes. "Yes, but I will protect you, just like your mother protected me." Suddenly, a loud noise came from upstairs. Bang! Both of them froze. Mrs. Alder turned off the lantern. Footsteps. Someone was inside the house. She whispered, "Hide behind the shelf. Don't make a sound." Lily hid in the dark corner, trying not to breathe. The basement stairs creaked. A shadow moved on the wall. The door at the top opened slowly. And then, nothing. Just silence. Mrs. Alder stepped forward. "Who's there?" No answer. Then a loud voice echoed from above. "You have something that doesn't belong to you." It was a man's voice. Cold. Dangerous. "Leave now, or we take it by force." Mrs. Alder stayed calm. "You can't scare me. I've faced worse men than you." The door slammed shut. Silence again. Lily waited a few minutes before stepping out. "Who was that?" she asked. "One of them," Mrs. Alder said. "And they won't stop." She picked up a small metal box and handed it to Lily. "This holds the real list. You must keep it safe." Lily stared at it. "But why me?" "Because you have a good heart," Mrs. Alder said. "And the world needs people like you. Your gift was not just kind. It was brave." Lily nodded, but fear was in her eyes. What had she gotten herself into? And what would come next? Lily held the small metal box tightly in her hands. Her fingers trembled, her mind spinning with questions. She had only wanted to give a gift, a simple act of kindness. But now she was carrying something dangerous, something people were willing to fight for. Mrs. Alder placed her hand on Lily's shoulder. "You need to go now," she said. "If they see you here again, they'll follow you." "But what about you?" Lily asked. "I'll be fine," the old woman said with a weak smile. "I've lived a long life with too many secrets. You're young. You still have time to change the world." Lily didn't want to leave, but she knew she had no choice. With the box hidden deep in her backpack, she left through the back garden and ran home under the moonlight. The streets were silent, but she kept looking over her shoulder, afraid someone might be watching. When she got home, her father was still asleep. Lily quietly locked the doors, shut the windows, and went straight to her room. She sat on her bed and opened the box. Inside was an old paper, folded many times. She opened it carefully. It had 7 names written in black ink. One name stood out. It was the same last name as the police officer who came to Mrs. Alder's house earlier. Detective Granger. Lily gasped. So that officer wasn't here to help. He was here to search. She quickly put the paper back, closed the box, and hid it under a loose floorboard beneath her rug. Her mother had once told her about that hiding spot when she was little. Lily didn't sleep that night. The next day at school, Lily tried to act normal. But during lunch break, she noticed 2 men in black suits standing across the street from the school gate. They weren't looking at her, but she could feel it. She turned to her friend Emma and whispered, "Don't look now, but I think someone is watching us." Emma glanced quickly, then laughed. "Lily, those guys look like they're from a spy movie." Lily forced a smile, but her heart wasn't laughing. When school ended, she didn't take her usual route home. Instead, she walked through the park, then crossed behind the library, and finally climbed the back fence to enter her house from the alley. Inside, everything looked normal, until she stepped into the kitchen. The back door was open, just slightly. Her blood ran cold. She slowly reached for the drawer and grabbed the kitchen knife. "Dad," she called. No answer. "Is someone there?" Still silence. Lily walked upstairs. Her room door was half open. She stepped inside and froze. Her rug was moved. The floorboard was lifted. The box was gone. Her hands began to shake. Someone had been here. Suddenly, her phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. "We have what we want. Stay out of it. Next time, we won't be so kind." Lily dropped the phone. Her legs felt weak. But just then, she saw something else. On her desk was a tiny red ribbon. The same ribbon she had used on the wooden gift box. It wasn't over. Later that night, she went back to Mrs. Alder's house. But this time, the house was dark. And quiet. Too quiet. She knocked. No answer. She called out softly, "Mrs. Alder." The front door creaked open. Lily stepped inside. The living room was a mess. Papers scattered, photo frames broken, books on the floor. And then she saw it. A trail of blood leading to the back. She followed it slowly, her heart beating in her throat. At the end of the hallway was a letter taped to the wall. It read, "She paid for her past. You'll pay too, if you don't walk away." Lily's knees gave out. She dropped to the floor. Mrs. Alder was gone. Tears filled Lily's eyes. Her kindness had started all this. Her gift had unlocked a door that was supposed to stay shut. But now, with the box stolen and her life in danger, she had to make a choice. Run or fight. And Lily, though scared, wiped her tears, and whispered to herself, "I'm not running." Lily couldn't sleep that night. She sat on her bed, eyes wide open, staring at the empty wall. The note from the cartel was still in her hand. Her fingers squeezed it tightly. Her world had changed too fast. Yesterday, she was just a kind girl. Today, she was part of something dangerous. Mrs. Alder was gone. The secret box was stolen. And now, people were watching her, threatening her. But Lily had made up her mind. She wasn't going to run. She opened her old school notebook and began writing down everything she knew, every clue, every name, every face she remembered. She drew a circle around one word: Granger, the fake officer. She remembered his sharp eyes, the way he looked at her that day. He wasn't there to help. He was part of the darkness that had taken Mrs. Alder. But what could a teenage girl do? Lily picked up her phone and called the only person she trusted outside her family, Uncle Ray, her mom's younger brother. He lived 2 towns away, used to work in the army, and always told Lily, "If you're ever in danger, call me first." It was 2 a.m. The phone rang once, twice. Then Uncle Ray picked up. "Lily?" His voice was tired but alert. She didn't waste a second. "Uncle, I think someone's after me. I need help." By sunrise, Uncle Ray was at Lily's house. He didn't ask too many questions at first. He just looked around the room, noticed the messed-up floorboard, the disturbed rug, and the way Lily's hands shook when she handed him the letter. He sat down, read the note, and nodded slowly. "This is serious," he said in a calm voice. "But you did the right thing by calling me." Lily told him everything, from the gift she gave to Mrs. Alder, to the hidden box, the fake police, and the list of names. Ray leaned back and looked at her carefully. "Lily," he said, "that list, your mother talked about it once, long ago. She said there were people in this country who hid their true faces behind power. That list, if it's real, could expose them all." Lily was silent. "But now they have it," she whispered. Ray nodded. "Maybe. But we can still find the truth. First, we need to know where they're hiding." Lily remembered something. There was a symbol, on the corner of the letter, a small snake wrapped around a rose. Ray's face changed. "That's not just a symbol," he said. "That's a mark. Old military code, only used by a secret unit that disappeared 20 years ago. They were called the Black Rose." Lily frowned. "What did they do?" Ray's voice dropped low. "They cleaned up secrets, silenced voices. If Mrs. Alder's name was on the list, it means she was one of them, or she knew too much." A chill ran down Lily's back. "So now they're after me," she said. Ray nodded again. "Yes, but now they'll have to go through me too." Later that day, Ray took Lily out of the house. He said it was too dangerous to stay. They drove to a small cabin in the woods, an old place Ray used to use when he was in the army. There, Lily began learning simple survival skills: how to move quietly, how to observe without being seen, how to hide things safely. She wasn't training to fight, but she was preparing to stay alive. And then, something unexpected happened. On the 3rd night at the cabin, Lily's phone buzzed. A text. No number, no name, just 4 words. "She's alive. Find me." Lily's hand shook again. She showed it to Ray. He read it slowly, then looked at Lily. "Someone's trying to help," he said, "but it could be a trap." "I want to go," Lily replied, her eyes full of fear, but also courage. Ray thought for a moment. "Then we go together," he said. The next day, they followed the location from the text. It led them to an abandoned church just outside the city. Broken windows, dust on the floor, silence everywhere. Inside, they found a small envelope. Inside the envelope was a single photo. Mrs. Alder, tied up, but alive. And behind her, a man with cold eyes. It was Detective Granger. Lily stared at the photo, her heart pounding like a drum. Her hands trembled as she held it closer. Mrs. Alder was alive, but clearly in danger, and standing behind her was the man she had feared the most. Detective Granger, the same man who smiled politely when he knocked on the door. The same man who said, "Don't worry, I'm here to help." Now Lily knew the truth. He was never a protector. He was a hunter. Uncle Ray clenched his jaw. He looked at the photo for a long time, then folded it carefully and slipped it back into the envelope. "He's not just pretending to be a cop," Ray said. "He's part of something much darker. And now he wants you to see what he's capable of." "Why send me this picture?" Lily asked. Ray paused, then said, "Because he's not done yet." They returned to the cabin, but Lily couldn't sit still. Her mind raced with thoughts of Mrs. Alder, what she must be going through, how scared she must feel. Lily couldn't shake the image of that kind old lady tied up and helpless. "She gave me a secret," Lily whispered, "and now she's paying for it." Ray put a hand on her shoulder. "You're brave. Most people would have run away by now, but you're still standing." Lily looked up. "I want to stop them." Ray nodded. "Then we need to find out who else is on that list. We may not have the paper, but if we can get back to Mrs. Alder, maybe she can help us remember." That night, Lily and Ray drove to an old military storage base that Ray had access to from his past. It was hidden deep in the woods, forgotten by time. Inside, there were boxes of files, maps, and old records. Ray searched one cabinet, while Lily flipped through dusty folders. Most of it made no sense. Codes, missions, dates. But then Lily found a folder labeled Rose Unit, Confidential. She opened it. Inside were black and white photos of men and women in uniform. Some faces were crossed out in red ink. Others had notes next to their names. And then she saw it. A picture of Mrs. Alder, much younger, standing with a group of agents. The note under her name read, "Evelyn Alder, Code, Whisper, Status, Retired, Watch List, Level 4, Whisper." Lily said out loud. Ray looked over her shoulder. That was her name in the field. She wasn't just part of the unit. She was their best spy. Lily couldn't believe it. The quiet old lady who loved tea and flowers was once a top-level agent. "And now she's a target," Lily whispered. Ray made a plan. "We'll follow the clues," he said. "Granger is playing a game, and he wants you to follow the trail." "Fine. We'll follow it, right to him." They checked the church again the next day. Nothing. But near the altar, Ray noticed something scratched into the wooden floor. A number. 14 to 923. Lily stared at it. "Is that a code?" Ray smiled slightly. "It's a date, September 14. That's next week. He's planning something. Maybe a meeting. Maybe something worse." "Then we don't wait," Lily said. "We stop him first." That night, Lily had a dream. She saw Mrs. Alder in a dark room, whispering her name. "Lily, don't let them win." She woke up with a start, breathing fast. Ray was already up, packing gear. "We move at dawn," he said. By morning, they followed a signal Ray picked up from an old device Mrs. Alder once gave him. It led them to the edge of town, an abandoned laundry factory that hadn't worked in years. They parked quietly and moved in. Inside, the place was cold and dusty. Machinery stood still. Cobwebs hung from broken windows. Then Lily heard it, a soft cough, from behind a metal door. They ran toward it. Ray kicked the door open. There she was, Mrs. Alder, tied to a chair, alive, but barely. Lily rushed to her side. "Lily," Mrs. Alder whispered, "you came." Ray cut the ropes quickly. But just then, a voice echoed from the shadows. "Well, well," the brave little girl found her way. Detective Granger stepped out from the darkness. But he wasn't alone. 3 more men followed him, each holding a weapon. You should have stayed out of this, Granger said coldly. You had no idea what you were walking into. Ray stepped in front of Lily. She's not alone, he said. Granger smirked. That's true, he said. None of us are. Suddenly, a light flicked on, and behind Granger stood a man Lily had never seen before. But Ray's eyes went wide. You? He said. You're supposed to be dead. The man stepped forward. I was, he said. But like the truth, I don't stay buried. Lily had never seen Uncle Ray look scared before. But now his face turned pale. His eyes didn't blink. His hands clenched into fists. The man standing behind Granger wore a long black coat. His hair was gray at the sides. But his eyes, they were sharp, cold, like someone who had seen too much and lost even more. Lily whispered, Who is he? Ray didn't move his eyes. He spoke slowly. That is Mason Burke. He led the Black Rose unit. He disappeared 20 years ago. Everyone believed he was dead. Granger stepped aside and let Mason come forward. Mason smiled, but it wasn't a kind smile. It was quiet, dangerous. You must be Lily, he said softly, the girl who found the box. Lily stepped back. Mrs. Alder coughed weakly from behind her. Ray helped her sit against the wall, gently checking her pulse. Why are you doing this? Lily asked. Mason's smile faded. Because secrets are meant to stay buried. That list you found, that wasn't just names. It was balance, power, control. You kidnapped an old woman for power. Lily snapped. Mason looked at her for a moment, then laughed. She wasn't just an old woman. She was the last whisper in the wind, the only one left who could speak the truth. Then he leaned in closer. And now, you are. Ray stood up. His voice was hard now. If you touch her, I swear. You'll what? Granger interrupted. You're outnumbered, Ray. Outgunned. And out of time. But Mason raised his hand. No, he said. This doesn't end with blood. Not yet. There's still a choice. He pulled something from his pocket. A small flash drive. Everything is here. The list. The past. The missions. The names of everyone we controlled, bought, silenced. He placed the drive on the ground between them. You can take it, he said. Walk away. Forget this ever happened. But if you use it, people will die. Powerful people. Innocent people. Chaos will spread. Lily looked at the drive. So small, yet it held the weight of the world. She whispered, Why give it to me? Because I want to see what kind of person you are, Mason said. Granger looked confused. What are you doing? Mason turned to him. Testing her. Granger pulled out his gun. We don't need tests. We need silence. But before he could move, Ray lunged. He tackled Granger to the ground, the gun sliding away. Chaos broke out. The other three men pulled weapons. Lily screamed, grabbing Mrs. Alder and hiding behind an old machine. Ray fought hard. Years of military training kicked in. He knocked one man out, dodged another, and shouted, Lily, run. But she didn't. She picked up the flash drive. Then a voice behind her. Don't move. Mason stood there, pointing a gun at her head. You really think you can change anything? He asked. Lily turned slowly, her heart racing. I don't know, she said honestly. But I think Mrs. Alder believed I could. Mason's eyes flickered, just for a second. Evelyn always believed in hope, he muttered. Then suddenly, a loud bang. Mason's arm jerked back. He fell to his knees. Ray stood behind him, holding the weapon he had taken from Granger. The room went silent. Granger was unconscious. The other men were gone. And Mason was bleeding. But he smiled. Even while falling, he smiled. You're stronger than I thought, he whispered to Lily. Then his eyes closed. Ray dropped the gun and rushed to Lily. "You okay?" She nodded, holding the flash drive tight in her hand. Mrs. Alder, weak but alive, gave a small smile. "You did it, dear," she said softly. "You did what I couldn't." Lily helped her up. They walked out of the dark factory together, into the morning light. Outside, the world felt different. Still, calm, but full of questions. "What will you do with it?" Ray asked, looking at the drive in her hand. Lily looked at the sky. "I don't know," she said, "but the truth should never stay hidden." Ray smiled proudly. "You remind me of your mom," he said. "She was just like this, brave when it mattered most." Lily smiled back. But deep down she knew this wasn't the end. It was only the beginning. After everything that happened at the old factory, Lily felt like her world had changed. The streets were the same. The sky was still blue. But she wasn't the same girl anymore. She had seen the truth. She had faced fear. And she had chosen to fight, not run. Back at the safe house, Mrs. Alder rested on the couch with a warm blanket around her. Her face looked tired, but peaceful. Ray checked her bandages and gave her water. Lily sat nearby, the flash drive still in her hands. That tiny object felt heavy now. It didn't just carry secrets, it carried lives. Ray looked at her. "You don't have to do anything, you know," he said softly. "No one would blame you for walking away." Lily shook her head. "I can't. I saw what they did, what they were willing to do. If I stay quiet, I'm no different from them." Ray smiled slightly, like a proud father. "You sound like her again," he whispered. Lily looked up. "My mom." Ray nodded. She stood up when others stayed silent, even when it hurt. Later that night, Mrs. Alder called Lily over. With weak hands, she held a box. "I kept one last thing," she said, "in case the day ever came when someone strong enough would carry it forward." Inside the box was a small notebook, handwritten, faded with time. Lily opened it. It was full of names, stories, code words, all from missions long gone, but the effects were still alive in the world. "You trusted me with this," Lily said softly. Mrs. Alder nodded. "Because kindness doesn't mean weakness." Lily hugged her gently. "You're the bravest old lady I've ever met." Mrs. Alder chuckled. "You're the loudest whisperer I've ever heard." By morning, they made a plan. Ray would help Lily send the files to a few trusted reporters, not to cause chaos, but to reveal the truth to those who still cared about justice. They weren't trying to destroy the world. They were trying to clean it. But just as they were ready to leave the cabin, someone knocked at the door. A slow, quiet knock. Ray stepped forward, weapon ready. "Stay back," he whispered. He opened the door carefully. Standing outside was a woman, mid-40s, in a black coat. Her face was serious. Her eyes scanned the room. "I'm Agent Harper," she said. "I'm here for the girl." Lily stepped forward. "I'm not going anywhere." Harper raised her hands. "I'm not here to hurt you. I'm here because of what you uncovered. Mason Burke was on our most wanted list for years. And you stopped him." Ray didn't lower his weapon yet. "What do you want?" he asked. Harper looked at Lily. "I want to offer you protection. A chance to stay hidden. Or a chance to join something bigger." Lily blinked. "Join?" Harper nodded. "There are people who still fight for the right reasons. People like your mother. Like Mrs. Alder once was. People like you." Lily didn't answer right away. She looked at Ray. He gave her a small nod, proud, but a little sad. Then she looked at Mrs. Alder, who whispered, "The world needs more whispers." Later that day, Lily stood at the edge of the forest, watching the wind move through the trees. She had the flash drive in one hand, and the notebook in the other. She thought about how it all started, with a simple gift for an old lady. A kind act, a quiet street, and a story that shook the neighborhood. That night, she left a letter behind for Ray. I don't know where this path will take me, but I know I have to walk it. For those who can't, for the truths that still hide in shadows. Thank you for being my strength when I had none. Love, Lily. As the car drove off into the distance, Ray stood outside the cabin and watched the dust rise. He smiled, because he knew the quietest voice can change the loudest world. And Lily? She was no longer just a girl. She was the beginning of something powerful. It had been 3 months since Lily left the cabin. The town had returned to its normal pace. People walked the streets. Children played in the parks. But something had changed. Something quiet, but real. Whispers. Not the kind that gossiped. The kind that remembered. Mrs. Alder, though weaker now, smiled more often. Every morning, she sat by the window with a cup of tea, watching the birds and the sunrise. She never told the neighbors what happened in that old warehouse or about the list that once nearly took her life. She just smiled when people said, "You look better, Evelyn," because she knew why she was still here. Because of Lily. Ray still kept the safe house ready. He didn't talk much, but every time he saw the mailbox, he hoped. Then, one quiet morning, it came. A letter. No return address. Just his name, written in neat, careful handwriting. He took it inside, sat down, and opened it slowly. Inside was a short note and a photograph. The photo showed Lily, wearing a dark jacket, standing beside Agent Harper, smiling with a city skyline behind her. She looked stronger now, not just older, wiser. The note read, "Dear Uncle Ray, I thought of you yesterday when I stepped into my first mission room. There were people in suits, people with power, but none of them scared me. Because I remembered how you stood in front of me when I was afraid. We've already helped 3 people who were on Mason's hidden list. We gave them protection, safety, and freedom. This is only the beginning, but it's a good one. Thank you for teaching me how to be brave. I carry that lesson with me every day. I miss you and Mrs. Alder. I'll come back one day, when it's safe. Love always, Lily." Ray held the letter for a long time. His eyes grew misty, but he didn't cry. He looked out the window. Mrs. Alder was already up, sitting in the chair under the big tree. Ray walked out, sat beside her, and handed her the photo. Mrs. Alder smiled the moment she saw Lily's face. "She made it," she whispered. Ray nodded. "She's doing more than just surviving. She's changing things." That evening, the sky turned golden. Birds flew across the orange clouds. And from the distance, a soft breeze passed through Willow Street. No one saw it, but if you listened closely, it sounded like a whisper of hope, a whisper of truth, and a whisper of a girl who left a simple gift for an old lady, only to discover a story that shook the world.